Micro Four Thirds is a popular camera and lens system, probably best known for big successful cameras like the Panasonic GH line, the Olympus EM line, or the EP line. But did you know that Micro Four Thirds is much more than just Panasonic and Olympus cameras? It's a system that any company can join, and many have. The idea originated in 2002 when Olympus and Kodak came together to announce the 4/3 mount. That's the DSLR precursor to our modern mirrorless Micro Four Thirds mount. Back then, Panasonic and Olympus both made DSLRs for the system, like this one, the Olympus E1, but also Leica of all people. And that's what I want to show you today, all the lesser known cameras and manufacturers in the Micro Four Thirds camera system, because there's a lot of them and I highly doubt you've heard of all of them. And I actually have one of these lesser known cameras right here in this box, ready to unbox later in the video. The first lesser known camera, and the one I'm most obsessed with, was a commercial failure from a well-known company, sort of. This is the Kodak Pixpro S-1. It's a Micro Four Thirds camera from 2014. It came with its own Kodak branded optics, but could accept other Micro Four Thirds lenses just like every camera in this video can. They also released at the same time this ridiculous looking 400mm f6.7 fixed aperture manual focus lens to go with this tiny camera. So what made this camera flop so hard? Well, early reviews rated it mediocre at best. There were reports of quality control issues, that the kit lenses were not optically up to the task of the 16 megapixel sensor, and general concerns that it just didn't offer anything that the already great Panasonic and Olympus cameras offered at the time. But part of this may be because Kodak didn't actually make this camera at all. 2014 was just after the company JK Imaging had bought the rights to make cameras under the Kodak brand name. And I know it stands for something else, but with a name like JK Imaging, I mean, you know what you're gonna get. In the world of video recording, the Micro Four Thirds system is used a lot. Everything from a DJI gimbal camera made for drones to Blackmagic cinema cameras. But I also found this JVC camcorder that used the Micro Four Thirds mount, along with these neat compact cameras called Z-cams, which actually look pretty sweet for a boxy cinema camera setup, very compact, that you can build out on a budget. The Micro Four Thirds mount is also used for a bunch of industrial cameras, which I'll be honest, I don't totally understand the application of these or how one would even use them, but there you go. Recently, there's even been some dedicated live streaming setups. Think of these like super nice webcams that use the Micro Four Thirds lens mount and sensors. They don't record to internal memory, but just stream their feed to an outside source. For example, this Logitech Mevo Core seems like a sweet option, even if it is a little pricey. For cheaper, you can get this Chinese brand Yongniao, which I can't imagine I'm pronouncing correctly, so sorry about that. But they make this Micro Four Thirds stream camera about half the cost of the Logitech. Speaking of Yongniao, they make one of the most unique Micro Four Thirds cameras in their YN455 and YN450 series. These are Micro Four Thirds cameras that have a large touchscreen on the back that runs Android, full-on normal Android, where you can load all your normal apps like Instagram and TikTok and whatever. These don't seem to sell in the United States, and it's out of my budget to get one on the channel for now, but I'd really like to because they seem potentially really fun. So what unusual Micro Four Thirds camera is in my box today? Well, it's not the Alice camera or the Switch lens camera. These are currently ongoing projects that are similar but different takes on the smartphone-enabled Micro Four Thirds camera systems. Both of them launched on crowdfunding, and both of them use your smartphone to tether to and control the camera and be its screen. I know more about the Alice camera since I was able to interview the CEO. The Switch lens is just a more recent Kickstarter, and both are still waiting to get into everybody's hands, but some potentially really interesting movements there. And staying on Kickstarter for a moment, a special mention should go to this exciting Micro Four Thirds project to follow, and that's the I'm Back, the latest iteration of their digital film backs. This has been done in the past by them and others, but this is the largest sensor used in a third-party universal back. It might be terrible. Time will tell. I am cautiously optimistic. I want it to work out well. But finally, that takes me to this camera in this box. Let's open it. Okay, I've never seen one of these cameras in person before, so I'm super excited. They're actually a teeny bit hard to find. They're not the rarest cameras in the world, but there's not very many of them out there. So especially trying to get a good deal on one. From National Camera Exchange, not sponsored, but they are near me now that I'm in Iowa, and they are awesome. So highly recommend checking them out. Great things come in small packages, and I suppose that's kind of the whole mantra of Micro Four Thirds. Look at that nice camera body. Wait a minute. Is that a Leica? No, it's not a Leica. This is the Yi or YI. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. M1, a Micro Four Thirds camera, a one and only from this company. I think it stands for Young Innovators. They're a company known for making knockoff GoPro cameras, which I've heard are actually pretty good and way cheaper. But then they made this, a Micro Four Thirds camera. Micro Four Thirds sensor, uses the same mount. Here I can put there's the sensor. I can put my Panasonic lens on it. My good old 25mm lens. It does really look like a Leica with that red logo in the corner. Now the really cool thing about this camera is that it originally sold for $350 with a kit lens. And that's an insane price given its specs. This is a 20 megapixel Micro Four Thirds camera. It can record in 4K. Look at that sexy interface. It is touchscreen, which is pretty cool. It's fairly responsive. And that's important, I guess, because there's no buttons on the side, really hardly anything. There is a little bit of top buttons, so we do have one dial here to cycle through settings, like right now on aperture, changing the aperture of my lens. And then we do have a mode dial to change from program mode, aperture, shutter priority, manual, just movie mode, etc. A dedicated video record button and a shutter button. And this is my on-off right here. The other neat thing about this camera is that it improved over time. So there was firmware updates to address issues. One issue that they had was the focusing, and I guess it's better now, and maybe that's why it's better for me. I haven't checked what firmware version I have on this. And actually I must be on a new firmware because they also added RAW plus JPEG that wasn't originally available. So it's cool that they were listening to people's concerns, reviewers' concerns, and addressing them in firmware updates. Obviously I just unboxed this camera, so no comments about image quality yet or anything, but I got this for 150 bucks from NatCam. Seems like a pretty sweet deal. And yeah, just another one of those cool Micro Four Thirds cameras that you never knew existed. Where will the Micro Four Thirds system go next? I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. Hey, check out my video on this camera, Micro Four Thirds camera that I did a little hack on. It's a sweet video. I'll see you over there. And until next time, happy snapping.